Hello, I am Mark, a former software engineer now exploring the world. Welcome to Hong Kong. Today we dive into the chaotic heart of the Kowloon Walled City, a gritty maze of history and mystery. Stick around for an unforgettable journey.
Right behind me right now is what used to be one of the densest places in all of the world. In like the 1600s, the Chinese, they made a particular military base in order to regulate the salt trade around Hong Kong. So they made this wall around a small little area. I think it was like about the size of 4 football fields. And actually I was just walking around. It takes maybe 2-3 minutes to walk from one side of this area to the other. And so they made this military base in like the 1600s. And then I think it was sometime in the 1800s, there was, the war between China and Britain. But since this was a military base, China was able to maintain the ownership of this place throughout the rule of Britain. And then like World War II happened, and then the Japanese took it over, and then the whole thing was kind of like in legal limbo. So I guess like after World War II, the Japanese, they handed it over to the British people, and then the British claimed ownership, and then like the Chinese also claimed ownership over it. Anyways, it was kind of like in this like weird legal limbo area where everybody was kind of claiming ownership of it, but like nobody actually like enforced any laws there. So I guess like the Chinese, they kind of claimed some ownership, the Britain, they kind of claimed some ownership. I guess the Japanese didn't claim any ownership over anymore, but they just owned it for like a short period of time. Regardless, all of that is just to say that this place kind of almost became governed by nobody. So it became one of the cheapest places to live in Hong Kong, and it thus became one of the densest places in the world, actually. So in this like 4 football fields, it would take a few minutes to walk across. There was 30 to 50,000 people who lived in this area, peaking around, I think, sometime in the 1970s. So we're going into it right now, and it's like absolutely wild how dense this place was. So I did the math, and if you would have the entire world's population, so the world's population is around 8 billion people, right? And if you would have had around this density, you would have about 3.5 million people per square kilometer. And then I did the math, and that is about the size of Delaware, or maybe the size of Luxembourg, or like half the size of like the big island of Hawaii. So if you kept people at half the density, right, that would be about the same size as the big island of Hawaii. So if you kept people at this density, you could get people at the big, like the size on just Hawaii. Now Hawaii, I mean the big island's kind of big, but it's not that big to fit 8 billion people. But you could do it and still have some space left over. You could have half of the big island Hawaii at this density, and then you could have the rest of it like parks and stuff. So this is the place where they had all these people. So apparently it was wild on the inside, since there wasn't really any people who governed it from like the official government, right? Not the Chinese, not the British. It was kind of ran by all these gangs. So there was all kinds of lawless activity. I shouldn't actually say that the whole thing was lawless. Apparently it was, most people were like pretty peaceful on the inside. I think that is one thing to say, right? So people were like relatively peaceful. I think it was a pretty nice place, and there was all kinds of fun things that happened. So I guess there were some doctors who used to be from China, and they were like refugees during some of the wars. So they came here and they would operate. So there was a bunch of dentists on the inside. There was also apparently some prostitutes. But, I guess you get that kind of thing with any big city. But also, we'll take a look, because they have a little bit of a plaque on the inside to show what it kind of looked like. But it looked like it was super, super dense. So they had height restrictions. So there was, still some laws, right? So I guess they limited to, I think it was like 12 to 14 floors. We could count 1, 2, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, I don't know, 14 plus a little bit, right? So, because it's pretty close to the airport, right? So you could be close to the airport and then still allow the planes to pass. But I guess there was like a lot of stuff going on the inside. If you wanted to like pay to be in it, the outermost parts, like the part where you got to see the sun, you want to get your vitamin D, that was the most expensive, right? Because you would actually be close to the outside, right? But then on the inside, it was a little bit cheaper, and it was like kind of dark. So a lot of people, they would go and like steal the electricity. Since you were so dense inside, the air quality was pretty bad. There's a little bit of a thing over here which shows what it actually looked like. So this is 1/200th scale right here. But yeah, look at that. Look how dense that is. This is the densest city to have ever existed. So it looks like there was some parts on the outside where you'd be kind of, you could get some sunlight, right? So that's kind of cool. And some little parts in the middle where you could kind of hang your clothes out to dry. And some of it feels like the hotel room we're staying in now in Hong Kong, how dense it is. But it was knocked down in 1994, I think, in that time frame, because the Chinese government, they were worried about, well, I mean, I'd be a little bit worried too. I think there was a big fire risk. There was, a lot of lawlessness, and then they just turned it into this park here. But if you look at some of the buildings next to it, like, I'm sure it's not nearly as dense as it was, but those buildings over there are still pretty dense, right? So it seems like some of the DNA of the denseness in Hong Kong still kind of survives, or you could even say thrives to this day, right? So I mean, like, both of us are staying in this like little tiny room in Hong Kong now. I don't know exactly how big like each room would have been in the walled city, but I mean, they were small, right? And I'm sure, things were intimate, you could say, right? But yeah, it's just it's really crazy that a place like this even existed. Yeah, it's cool. All right, so yeah, that's all about the Kowloon Walled City. But if you like videos like this, make sure that you subscribe. Now, I was looking at the analytics recently, and most people who are watching this, like 90+%, are not subscribed. Like, I mean, I know this may have come on a recommended video to you, but like, we are going out here exploring, seeing the world. If you want to see like what we're doing, like, subscribe, and also like hit the bell button so then you can see like exactly what we're up to.
Next time, we embark on an epic journey across the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macao Bridge, the world's longest sea crossing to Macau. From glittering casinos to the historic ruins of St. Paul, this adventure is packed with surprises. Don't miss what's next.